So a very good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to my house. So for thousands of years, man has been intrigued by the big white ball in the sky that you see at night, aka the moon. Well, when I was a young boy, when I first picked up a camera, I was exactly the same. I wanted to take photographs of the moon. And sadly, over the years, that's something that's kind of disappeared from my photography fun and games, is taking photographs of the moon. But we're going to change that. We're going to change that tonight. But we're not. We're not going to take a photograph of the moon, we're going to take a lot of photographs of the moon and we're going to stack them to create one image. One stacked image of the moon. There's an Olympus OM1 and my trusty 40-150. It's the longest lens that I have. It's a 300mm equivalent focal length. But before we dive into all of the fun and games of taking photographs, let's talk about this aspect of it. So I'm using a long focal length. Now granted, 300mm isn't going to fill a frame, and 20 megapixels doesn't leave an awful lot of cropping space, but we should be able to get something that we can work with. Now, when it comes to lens speed, conversely to what you would think at night, you don't actually need a fast lens. This is f5.6 at the long end, which is going to be more than enough because we're going to stop down to roughly f8. The moon is a lot brighter in the sky than you may think when it comes to taking a photograph of. f8, base ISO of 200, and a shutter speed of around a 250th of a second, maybe even a little bit faster, should give us some nice exposed photographs of the moon. Now the whole concept here is stacking photographs. I made a video about this years ago. In fact, if you troll back through my channel, it is the first video that you will see on there. It's quite a popular subject, but I always missed out the actual taking of the photographs. So a nice long lens, relatively fast shutter speed, base ISO, and a medium sort of aperture should be enough to take some photographs of the moon. So let's get wrapped up, let's get out in the back garden, let's see what we can do. So my focus is set. The settings are setting. It's f8, ISO 200 and a 320th of a second, and that's giving me a nice exposure on the moon. It's a nice cold clear night, so there's not a lot of cloud cover to worry about getting in front of the moon. So let's have a look. Let's start taking some photographs. So here we are. The settings are locked in. So 320th of a second, f8, ISO 200, and you can see the only thing exposed here is the moon, which is great because that's what we want. So if I show you my drive mode, I have a custom drive mode on. So we have a 2-second timer. It's going to take 10 frames, half a second apart. So what we do, silent shutter, 2-second timer. Every half second, the camera's going to take a new frame of the moon. I'm going to repeat this process for maybe 10-15 minutes or so. Gather as many photographs as we possibly can. And that's going to aid with the stacking a little bit later on the computer. So what is this stacking that I've been speaking of? We can see on the back of the camera I have taken a bunch of photographs of the moon. And we're going to do exactly what stacking sounds like. We're going to stack them one on top of another, layer after layer after layer, and every single photograph has a different noise pattern in there. And that's what we're aiming to do here. We're aiming to reduce the noise in the photograph. So all digital sensors, all digital cameras produce random noise patterns, and the key word there is random. It's a signal to light ratio. Now, light, the moon, doesn't move. Well, it does, but you can see what I'm saying. The pictures and the pixels, it's all in the same place. It's the noise pattern that's randomly generated, and that's the thing that moves. So if you take 2 photographs, each one of those photographs is going to have a slightly different noise pattern to the one previous. And eventually, if you take enough photographs, you're able to combine those noisy pixels into pixels with information and data. Now I'm not going to show you the full stacking process here. I have a video that I will link at the end of this video. You can see the stacking process in that video. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do in that video, and I'll show you a photograph of the moon. So I do hope you enjoyed this quick video of taking a photograph of the moon. Now, it's not going to be a long video. taking a photograph of the moon doesn't warrant a long video, but I hope I was able to show you at least my method of how to take a photograph of the moon, and hope it can translate to your photographs of the moon. I'd love to see them, so tag me in social media if you do ever manage to take one. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up, because it does help the channel. It helps bring new viewers to see my content. And if you liked it and you're new here and see more Micro Four Thirds nonsense every single week, do hit the subscribe button down below. Until next time, I will love you and leave you, and just say peace and goodbye.